Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is the First Descendant. Nexon is publishing this new free title, a looter shooter that takes inspiration from others in the genre like Destiny, Warframe, Anthem, and more. But is it able to differentiate itself enough from the inspiration? Let's go over the gameplay and find out. The gameplay of the First Descendant falls in the genre of over-the-shoulder, third-person looter shooter. At the same time, you'll choose a character to play with skills specific to that character, ranging from defensive or offensive abilities like a shield or a poison puddle, among others. Pacing is fast, and you'll go through countless enemies in each encounter, with missions and boss fights to go through. But just like other looter shooters, expect to be farming content over and over again constantly. The loot you'll be going for can range from guns, modules, equipment, or materials to unlock more things. What is there to unlock? There is an NPC where you can, quote, research other characters, weapons, or materials used in other research or upgrades to your character. However, each research item can take several hours to research, but can be accelerated by paying with real money. Between that and the amount of time needed to unlock things like characters that can just be bought, the game is really pushing you to spend money on microtransactions, a side effect of it being a free game. Moving on to the story, to sum it up, you are a descendant, a chosen human with the ability to use Arcane, a sort of sci-fi magic. Your enemies are the Vulgus, led by Corel, a tyrannical leader who wishes to end humanity, and the Colossi, large monsters from beyond the dimensional rift that also wish to bring about calamity. At the beginning of the game, you are in search of the Ironheart, an artifact that is meant to turn the tides of the war on both fronts. However, it falls into the hands of Corel, and you are then sent in search of the other two Ironhearts, with the help of a mysterious AI named the Guide. But now the question still stands. Pause or repeat? Alright, we got a free-to-play game today, which is not the usual for us, but hey, you know what? There's some great free-to-play games out there, and this one, while it might not be a 10, it definitely has its fun moments. I mean, it's great when it comes to the movement and the gunplay. It feels really smooth. But then you look at the microtransactions and oh man, there's microtransactions up the wazoo in this game. It's like every little bit of the game that you think that they could monetize, they've monetized. And it kind of hurts it in a sense because that means that you're going to have a lot of things that you can just bypass by playing or by just, pulling out your wallet and spending $30 on a character. So whether you're okay with that or not, it's going to depend on you as the person. But what do you think about that, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, if you're bored playing Destiny 2 and in a new game to spice things up, then the First Descendant is here to make you forget why you were ever bored in the first place. I know you have concerns about, the feeling of first playing the First Descendant. Yeah, you're right. They're going to give you a few characters to unlock for free within a couple hours of gameplay, proving that the only thing faster than unlocking new heroes is realizing your laundry is still in the dryer. I still felt like I was having fun trying to unlock these new characters, but I don't know if that's quite the gotcha moment, Henrik, because to me, I feel like there is so much to do within this freemium that, I'd never felt like it was like, oh my gosh, the monetization is killing me. In fact, I kind of felt like a lot of the critics in the reviews around this game were a tad harsh in my opinion. Because I start to think about there are ways where you can get those characters. Yeah, you're gonna have to be, pulling your teeth without spending money, but it's very similar to Apex Legends. You don't have to pay money right away to get that brand new character in the beginning, but if you constantly grind and you really love this game, the game will reward the gamer.
Yeah, I guess that is true, but it also, when you compare it to a game like Apex, I mean, you're just buying it with a currency that you're slowly over time getting, right? Whereas in this game, it's like, well, for some people, if they're trying to go for, we'll say, one of the ultimate characters, like Ultimate Bunny, some of the drop rates on the materials necessary to craft that character, they'll have like 3% drop chance on an item that already doesn't have a 100% drop chance to begin with. So it's technically less than 3% that you're actually being able to roll on this character's part. And that's one part of maybe several parts that you'll need to, scrounge up together in order to actually craft the character. So some people will get it quicker than others as a result of that. I've seen posts of people saying it's taking them like 100+ hours just to get some of these characters. And
Yeah.
that's where it gets really frustrating because, like, well, if you think of it like $30 divided by 100 hours, you kind of, you know, might as well have just dropped the wallet out and, paid for it at that point, it feels like. But at
Yeah,
the same time, I do get what you're saying, where, they don't force you to actually pay for anything. I didn't pay for anything when I played through the game myself.
right, and I do, you do make an excellent point when you do say, there are cats that are willing to, play 100 to 120 hours. Come on, though. There's not a lot of people that can even play, 50 hours, and sometimes we don't really have that kind of attention span. And so the point that I'm going to get at is, the storyline when it comes
Ah,
to the First Descendant, because it's so atrocious. I don't know about you,
yeah,
Henrik. I
no,
love a good
not
story,
good.
so I felt myself skipping the cutscenes nonstop. I mean, the best analogy I can put it is like you're sitting through the director's cut of Justice League. Like Zack
Yeah,
Snyder. You're doing this all over again.
yeah, I've
Why
heard that
can't you get
one.
it right the first time? I mean, why are we doing this again with Rebel Moon? That's kind of the feeling that I get with the storyline, and I think the point that I'm trying to make is it's like when you feel like the story is what's going to retain the player base to want to stick around. So if you're gonna, push this whole free to play kind of experience, you better ramp up this story because some characters you just cannot connect with. And I feel like in the long haul, that can really damage a game that can actually be kind of something kind of special because the environment, really looks very promising and you want to see
Hmm.
more out of it, but I just don't want to see it just die as quick as Anthem. And, with this kind
Yeah.
of move that they're doing right now, it wouldn't surprise me, especially with how electrifying 2025, the video game roster is going to be next year. What are they going to do to be able to retain that player base is something I'm still questioning.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be the story. I mean, like you said, I don't think the story's anything to write home about either. It honestly, if I'm gonna be real with everyone right now, I didn't know who the hell Eamon was until the last one. I was like, oh wait, it's the dude who's like the right hand man of the main villain. And they keep
Yeah.
talking about this Eamon guy, but story. I'm like, Eamon, like, did we get introduced to this guy at some point? Like, I don't remember. And then
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, oh yeah, it's that guy. Like, and that just shows you that the storytelling kind of failed me in a sense. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. Like you said, you wanted to skip a lot of the cutscenes because they didn't grab your attention. And
Yeah.
really, it feels like they're wanting to focus on the gameplay being the thing that draws people in. But then there's
Right.
the question, well, who's really going to be invested in a game beyond 50 hours if they're stuck trying to farm for a character? It's going to be mostly just the people who are used to this kind of genre of game, the looter shooter genre, where they're stuck, like in Destiny 2, perhaps as well, grinding out something in the PvP rewards or running a raid constantly over and over just to get something to drop for them. I
Yeah.
will say at the same time, though, this game does feel a little more accessible, at least, than Destiny to at least hop into, because there's less of a larger group you have to put together for this end game content. I've even seen people get to the point of being able to solo things by themselves. I had to solo a boss to progress the story as well, so it's possible to do it by
Yeah.
yourself. It's just you have to put in that time to do so.
Yeah, and those are all crucial concerns to be raised. But I know you were even kind of going like, oh, for like a freemium, yeah, you might be wanting to put down $30. That might not sound like the end of the world, especially when you consider it next to like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. I'm just trying to wonder
True,
like what would
true.
be a worse game. I would say Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
First
and
Descendant
that's
seems
mostly
very
also
promising.
because they did charge you the $70 up front and then still expected you to pay money for things.
Absolutely. And, the one thing I do love about the First Descendant is there are tons of weapons to choose from, and the modifying feels very rewarding. I mean, there
Mhm.
are been, some concerns online about, like, we're having right now. Like, oh, how is this game going to excel that repeat in the future, moving forward? A lot of people have already kind of reached that level 40 hump. Some people, like the really badass gamers have already reached up 100, and some people have kind of felt like, when you peeking past the base gear, it feels like you're leveling up your Mewtwo to 100, and then realize that it's still stuck in the never-ending gym battle with no challenges in sight. So that's a real concern that, I feel like the developers will eventually figure out over time. But the game is so fresh. It's so much fun. It's a really good, perfect summertime game that I would recommend trying to gather all your homeboys together, because this is a game you're going to want to play with friends. You try to play this game with a bunch of random people, you're going to be stuck in those like multi-wave missions, and people are just constantly bailing out halfway, and then you're going to get really pissed off. And I don't know if you jumped on, I just jumped on, earlier today, and now they're already showing an image before you even jump on. They're like, don't be that guy.
Yeah. They don't want people AFKing.
Right. And so I'm wondering if they're going to start punishing people for that. Call of Duty has done that in the past, and others. So what is that?
I mean, they're seeming to take some measures to do that. They're observing things first. They don't want to do anything rash to get on the community's bad side, because it feels like the developers do want to actually have a bit of a dialogue with the fan base. They want to, get the feedback and then try to do things right, rather than just be reactionary to everything.
Yeah, and I think, it's not just this game. I mean, we've already saw it earlier this year. It's no different than the backlash faced on Helldivers 2 in recent months, which it begs the question, Henrik, will the First Descendant face similar issues as to retaining a player base for the long haul? I believe it will. I am going to go out on a limb and say this is a repeat. I think, the First Descendant is being very heavily clowned upon, with the rest of the, the media outlets that cover, the video game spectrum. And I think a lot of gamers are going to have a lot of fun playing this game for the long run. A few things they got to tweak out, develop the story a little bit better so we can actually retain the experience and the overwhelming environment that is so spectacular, in my opinion. I think the graphics are pretty badass. So if you want to win the gamers over, you're going to have to tweak a few things, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say it's a repeat. What about yourself, Henrik?
Well, my friend group and I, we always have at least a few different games in rotation, some that have stuck around, they've lasted through the test of time. This has not been one yet, obviously, because it's so fresh still. But as long as it's in our rotation, it'll be a repeat. But then again, I didn't spend money on the game, so I'm not invested in staying in. Whereas
I didn't spend any money either.
So.
I didn't spend no money. I still think it's a repeat. I feel like I can still jump on like at a later time. I mean, you get that same feeling. I reference Apex later. I mean, there's moments where you take like a 2-month break. I mean, shit, we do that all the time with Fortnite. I mean, this kind of game, I feel like can kind of sustain that. I'm praying that it doesn't become the next Anthem. I don't get that kind of vibe from this. I feel like it's going to have a little bit more of a stronger reaction, just because I feel like this summer, with not a whole lot of games coming out, in the year 2024, it can kind of help elevate it going into October. Potentially during the Christmas holidays. So we'll see. It gets kind of competitive with Epic Games, right?
Yeah.
Where they're constantly giving you free goodies, under the mistletoe or the tree, whatever. You get the point, fam. But hey, you heard it from us. It sounds like we're a bit split. Were you saying pause?
No, I was saying it was a repeat, at least for now.
Okay. Okay. Hey, so you heard it from us. We're calling it a repeat on the First Descendant, but we want to hear from you, the gamers. How you vibing with this game? Is it a pause to play something else, or is it a repeat for endless fun?